We're live. We're here. And my phone starts making noise, of course. Okay. We're going to do a clap real quick. So we're going to count down from 3 to 1. This is like Lethal Weapon. We go on 0, not 1.
No, we go on 3.
No, you go. No. 3, 2, 1, and then clap.
Okay? That's not how Lethal Weapon did it. They went 1, 2, and
3.
Or is it 1, 2, 3?
You're the one who wants to start on time, and you're the one.
Yeah, let's go. I'm gonna hang up at 9 o'clock anyways.
3, 2, 1. I am getting echo from somebody's headset. I'm gonna guess it's Ethan because it's always Ethan.
Is it?
I don't know. Oh, and now there's a street race happening outside of Kevin Laraby's.
No, that's not my house.
Oh, really?
That was me.
Okay.
There.
All righty. We're good to go here. Everybody happy? Everybody ready? Everybody pumped? Psyched?
Yeah.
Pumped.
Hello and welcome to episode 518 of the Player One podcast for Tuesday, October 11th, 2016. I'm your host, Greg Seward. Chris Johnston is on assignment on a cruise somewhere. I think he's gone to, research Matthew or something with his whole family. It seems really not safe. And Phil, Phil just decided not to show up. So we do have our sometimes fourth chair, our permanent, semi-permanent, semi-gloss, our semi-gloss fourth chair champion of all things virtual reality, Mr. Ethan Einhorn.
Hey, great to be back. And yes, last week was just the week in virtual reality. All those PSVR reviews hitting, which was really exciting to see. Just started a new job that I'm loving that is in VR. So I'm VR 24/7 right now.
When you say your new job is in VR, is that like you literally put on the headset and you're at work? Is that
no?
That's probably not a real job.
Working on Steam VR products is what I mean.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Half-Life 3 VR.
Half-Life 3. You heard it here first.
No,
Half-Life 3. Larrabee Lock. No? Okay.
Nope.
No, my Larrabee Locks come through. I hope you guys are continuing to make sure that you tick those boxes off on the website every single time.
Nobody but you.
Those exclusives get given to the Player One podcast.
And of course, that voice you're hearing right now is the one, the only Kevin Larrabee.
Hey guys, I'm back and I own all the next-gen consoles. Isn't that sweet?
All right.
Playing video games again.
So you own a Wii U again?
Well, no, next-generation consoles, Greg. I own the current generation lineup of consoles. I believe, aside from Mario Splash or whatever it is, Paint Splash.
Color Splash.
I have moved on to some 4K gaming, some HDR gaming.
Oh, did you buy a TV?
No, I have a 4K monitor. It doesn't do HDR. I'm just kind of being hyperbolic here. Get it? So it's just great to be back to talk about games because I've been playing lots of games and lots of things about games that have been going on in my life. So let's talk about some games.
All right. Well, before we do that, we're going to introduce our special guest host, guy that I met actually when I went down to the Midwest Gaming Classic and we were both on Retro Nuts, that other retro gaming podcast. We've got Dylan Cornelius. Hi, Dylan.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. I so wanted to introduce you as Dylon, just so you know.
Dylon, yes.
Yeah.
Classic Chappelle. Yes.
So Dylan's here to talk to us a little bit about the projects that he's been doing because I'm a big fan of his, at least one of his sites.
Ouch.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that later. First of all, we're going to do a little bit of news. CJ left us some news, and I'm not really super excited about what he left, but it's still worth talking about. So you remember 8 years ago? Remember 13 or 14 years ago when Michel Ancel released that really cool little game called Beyond Good and Evil?
Yeah.
And then 8 years ago, they teased Beyond Good and Evil 2, and then no one ever heard about it again, ever. This week, apparently, Monsieur Ancel started posting art on his Instagram about Beyond Good and Evil 2, and has officially announced that it is being worked on in Montpellier, I believe. That's how you say that. So, hey, Beyond Good and Evil's back. It's a thing again. That's exciting. You guys are obviously just dying to talk about it.
Well, I'll talk about it, but I'm trying to wait for you to finish your sentence, Greg. I don't like to jump on the host.
I appreciate
and stuff
that,
like
Kevin.
But I mean, this is the best game, Beyond Good and Evil, to ever be packed in with cheese, as we all know. But it was also a fantastic alternative for people that did not have Nintendo consoles and wanted to play great adventure games on the original Xbox, on the PlayStation 2, and on the GameCube, with the one hiccup of having just really messed up camera controls and options. Like the ability to invert forces you to invert both horizontal and vertical cameras. Right. You cannot pick one or the other. And unfortunately, along with this is a great time to go play the HD version, which is available on Xbox One backwards compatibility. But it was a real big disappointment when they did not update those options on that version of the game. But Beyond Good and Evil might have been the best game of that generation that I did not finish. I made it very close to the end, but then I got distracted by the Xbox 360. It was one of those games that I picked up very late in the cycle for the console. But going back and picking up the original these past couple days has been absolutely outstanding. I think everyone should go back, play the HD version, figure out I'm an inverted guy, but I'm going to see what I can do and try to play with normal controls. And like, if we look back at the time of the original, and I know this is about the sequel, but the time of the original, like, it was kind of forward thinking a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Strong female protagonist, really fascinating, like, controlling government story.
Yeah, really well conceived world.
A very well conceived world, great characters. Like, Paige is great in it, Jade is great in it, and even I forget the French guy who was like your PDA companion. Who's like, all right, Jade. Like, it is just such a fantastic.
I don't think that was a French accent, by the way.
It wasn't a French. I forget. I don't even remember if he was French or not, but I guess that would make sense being Ubisoft. I apologize for being super hyper about this, but I am really excited about this game because it was one of my most anticipated titles for years and years. It was one of those games I was continuing to wait to get back at an Ubisoft press conference at E3, and it's probably a ways off, but at least they're giving it another shot. I just don't want people to say, I know it's the internet, right, Greg? But
I've heard.
I'm still getting, somewhat disappointed when I see people like just basically crap on them announcing that it's in pre-production. Like,
well, they should never have teased it back when they did, though. I mean, I think people are just frustrated because people did get. That's the thing. It's a cult classic, and it was always a shame with this game. The year it came out was the same year that Sands of Time, Prince of Persia: Sands of Time came out, I believe.
Right.
And so Ubisoft effectively killed its own game. I contend to this day that because they both came out almost simultaneously during that Christmas season, and it didn't go anywhere. Like, and it was such a good game, and it was so overlooked at the time. But it was great that they did the HD remaster re-release there a couple of years ago, and I remember it was actually one of the games that we did a game club on back when we did such things.
Did you guys finish it?
Yeah, I finished it. It's not very long, actually.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. My memories of it, and I finished it as well, was that it's actually pretty brief. I like the battle mechanics. I really like the way photography is laced into the game experience.
Well, she's a photojournalist, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's not as fast paced as something like Prince of Persia. It's less a gamey game. It's more of an adventure experience. But I do think that it is absolutely worth playing through again. And I would love to play a sequel. Absolutely.
I also, one thing I want to throw out there too, the music was fantastic. The soundtrack was incredible. Dylan, did you ever play the original?
I started to, and for whatever reason, I just got distracted, but the little time I spent with it, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but it had more of a PC feel, maybe, than like something you would find on the console.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, to me, it always felt like sort of it felt like a Zelda game, to be honest, for me. I don't know why. Just for some reason, I always felt akin to, maybe it was the lock-on combat or something. I don't
The
know.
hard containers.
Yeah,
The
I never got that
dungeons.
far. I never got that far, so I literally probably the first 30 minutes to an hour.
Okay,
Um,
that's about half the game.
Wow. Okay. So this is gonna, once The Last Guardian hits, Beyond Good and Evil 2 is gonna like pick up the mantle of game that's been discussed for the last decade or so. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I honestly don't think that does games many favors, honestly.
No, it doesn't.
What
Not
do you
in this, to tease something so long ago and then let it lie like that. I mean, I understand why they did it in a way, because I think
Maybe
it
they were
became-
working on the game back then.
I think it became clear after the fact that they were testing to see if anybody cared.
Yeah, well, I mean, Amy Hennig did an interesting interview this week on Gama Sutra, I believe. Maybe it was Game Industry at Biz, but she was saying that the challenge with AAA in general is that things advance so quickly that you're always in crunch, and if you try to have like a 4-year development cycle, people have lapped you already by the time you come to market, and that's a big, big problem. And so if they've been working on the same fundamental designs for this long, there's a chance that, and it's the same problem that I think the Last Guardian has, based on what I've heard from people who've put hands on. When you have a game that was designed a long time ago, it feels like it was designed a long time ago.
I would say, though, I'm just going to throw out there that I don't think that this is going to suffer from that, because they're saying it's in pre-production still. So
Okay.
if that's true, then no code has been written, or at least not
Right.
enough that it would
That's fair.
matter. So yeah,
then
I
it's
mean,
not
maybe
a-
they've been working on the story the whole time. I don't know. It feels like it may have been some kind of, it's a passion project for Michel Ancel, and you know, whatever he's had time now to do it, I guess. I don't know. Hard to say. Speaking of obscure old games for the Xbox, this I couldn't even believe. It was announced this week that Voodoo Vince is getting a re-release.
Oh, I'm totally up for that. Yeah.
Voodoo Vince. Does anyone?
Yeah.
So Voodoo Vince was Microsoft's character platformer for the Xbox.
One of the many attempts.
One of the
Yeah.
many attempts. And
Blinks also.
yeah, it's true. From everything that I've heard, and I only played it very briefly, from everything that I've heard, it wasn't bad. CJ really likes it, actually, which is why he put it on here, I think.
Dave Halverson was a huge champion of that one.
Yeah, who cares? He was a huge champion of anything that was a platformer. But no, it was a cool looking little game, and you played as a voodoo doll. And it actually looked, the texture work on him was really impressive. I remember being at the time anyway. But yeah, so 13 years later, I mean, my understanding is that game didn't do very well.
Well, it was a cult hit, just like Beyond Good and Evil, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I put it in the same category as Beyond. Beyond Good and Evil has grown in popularity ever since it was released
Yeah, I can see that.
and failed. Voodoo Vince just kind of, I don't know, just kind of disappeared. But anyway, yeah, getting a re-release 13 years later. That's cool.
It's crazy.
Apparently the designer of it went on to be like a bigwig at Microsoft, so maybe that's why it's happening.
Phil Spencer?
Yeah, it wasn't Phil Spencer.
Yeah, what's Phil Spencer?
Oh, was it really Phil Spencer?
I believe so, yeah. I'm surprised.
I guess he's
maybe.
a bigwig.
Okay. I mean, he's
It
head of
says-
Xbox.
But no, the article on Xbox.com is written by Clayton Kozlerick, founder and creative director at Beep Games. And I believe it's written in the first person. So, yeah.
Okay,
Anyway.
I apologize if I was misinformed about that. I believe Phil
He might have been
worked on it. But,
Yeah, he might have been
and I know he
involved.
was obviously championing things like he does all things Xbox.
Either way, I saw that on the list. I'm like, Voodoo Vince. Okay, cool. One more thing, talking about some Xbox news. CJ's not here, so we're not talking about Nintendo at all. Apparently, Halo Reach is going to be backwards compatible, or is backwards compatible now. don't know who knows.
Let me see if I can clear. I put this on here for a couple reasons.
Okay.
One, there's a fantastic video on the Fitcast Network YouTube channel about Xbox One backwards compatibility for 360 games. And
I don't think you're allowed to call your own video fantastic.
No, it is fantastic. Everyone that is watching it has given me thumbs up on it. So the internet has told me that I'm right. So I brought this up because it just happened that I was poking around when I was doing that video. I looked around to see like where the prices of Xbox 360 games are at, especially for these games that are Xbox One backwards compatible, because for the most part, almost all of them play better and look better than they did on the original Xbox 360. Like Red Dead Redemption is a great example of that. And I think I talked about that on the show a couple of weeks ago. But I just happened to pick up Halo Reach from Target. And I think it's like you can go online. It's like $11 on their website online.
Mm-hmm.
And you can pop that in. It will download the update or download the actual game itself. And it runs so much better than it did on Xbox 360. Like the cutscenes run at 30 instead of 20. It is a clear difference when you're actually playing the game. It runs like locked at 30, where Halo Reach, it was definitely a step forward for Bungie on the graphical side of things.
Probably
it still wasn't.
What's
up?
My last favorite Halo game.
Okay. But the Halo 4 clearly looked better graphically, but with Halo Reach, they're still kind of working on the same engine, maybe a little bit modified from what they had from Halo 3 and ODST. But while it looked better, it didn't run super well. There was definitely some slowdown in places. And Halo Reach is a game that seems to be somewhat forgotten, because I think ODST is kind of like everyone's favorite Halo game if you're a real big Halo fan. But to now be able to play Halo Reach locked at 30 with visual improvements on Xbox One, that's really cool, because Greg, like you said, and for some other people, that is potentially their last favorite Halo game. And to be able to go and just pop that in, I think it still continues to be one of the secret best features of the Xbox One that no one really talks about unless you go back and pop these games in. Like I've been playing Condemned Criminal Origins as well, and that's and one thing, like you go back and you look at the character models of that game and they look absolutely terrible, but it didn't launch, right? So I think it is just. Sorry, go ahead.
PR for that. I was just going to say I did the PR for that game.
Oh, no way! Awesome.
Yeah.
That game was awesome at launch, and I think it's just worth pointing out that a lot of people, when they announced this stuff at E3, they thought Microsoft was just going to put out those 100 games or whatever that was going to come out in the fall, and they were going to forget about it, kind of like what they did with Xbox original games on 360. But instead, we've gotten pretty much weekly updates with new games being added to that list, including like Halo Reach that just got a big update. It was already on there, but it ran kind of poor on Xbox One backwards compatibility. But recently, we just got all of the Call of Duty games from the Xbox 360. That includes Call of Duty 2. Plus, what they're also doing is they're relisting previous games that were not on the store. They're bringing them back on the store once they hit backwards compatibility. So they're making these games available again. I think that is awesome to be doing for people that either want to go back or for games that have just skyrocketed in price, like Lost Odyssey just hit backwards compatibility last week. That's kind of a cult classic, and now the prices are skyrocketing. So like, go get a copy before they're gone from your local GameStop. And it's a great time to pick up all this stuff because GameStop's getting rid of all their 360 stuff. It's dirt cheap.
Yeah, it's true. And also, actually, a great thing about playing these 360 games on Xbox One is not only do they run better, but then you can stream them to your PC or your laptop, and that's a feature that I use all the time. And so it's really great to have that flexibility for 360 games because we didn't have that before. It's even better that if you happen to have those 360 games in your library already as discs, you don't have to pay a dime to do it.
And well, it's I apologize. Like the last thing I just want to mention, Greg, I know you want me to wrap up, but with this stuff, if you do end up picking up Xbox 360 games, keep in mind it just needs to be able to boot and read the disc because it's going to download the game off their servers anyway.
I'd forgotten all about that actually. When you were talking about it, in my mind, I'm like, wait, you went and bought it, but then you played it on your one, and I forgot all about the fact that all you need to have is the disc so that it boots.
Well, this is also feature. What they're doing is all the next, like I was playing a bunch of original Forza Horizon the last couple of weeks before 3 came out because they use this as an opportunity to bring previous franchises back to the forefront before a new release comes out.
Mhm.
And every single one of the Xbox 360 games that hits games with gold from here on out will be a backwards compatible game, whether it is as soon as it hits gold or if it already was, which is so cool. Like, that's such a huge value. And I really hope Sony
Well, it
figures
all
out
makes
how to
sense.
get it. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. But again, it shows like that whole idea that Xbox is still kind of down again. They're really just doing that underdog thing of trying to do whatever they can to make their customers as happy as possible. And I hope Sony can step it up with PS2 and more PS2 games on PS4 and trying to get some more PS3 stuff. But it doesn't look like they're going to do it because they already have the PlayStation Now stuff going, which I guess is okay, but you got to rebuy your stuff in a sense.
Right.
Yeah, it's a different value. I think it's also a very good value, but it's a totally different proposition. I think again that the interesting challenge that Sony's going to have going into this holiday is they're taking kind of a Genesis style bet, almost Sega CD 32X style, by having the PS4 Pro and the PSVR one right after the other. I mean, it's like if you want to keep up with Sony stuff, it's going to get really expensive.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Hey, there was a tweet earlier this week, I think it was by Ben Rivers, that I totally agreed with. If we're going to call the PSVR Sony's Sega CD, then bring it on.
It's way too early to be doing that.
It is way too early to be doing that. But speaking about PlayStation VR, let's move on a little bit here. So last week we talked a little bit about this because some of the unboxing videos had hit, but the embargo lifted this week, and so now you've got a bunch of reviews out there of the hardware and of the games. You guys been following this at all?
Oh yeah, closely.
Yeah, and what do you?
Did you watch the Giant Bomb live stream?
I scrubbed through it to various points, and I managed to stop at one of the points where Jeff Gerstmann looked like he was going to faint.
I haven't actually. That's one area where I'd love to get filled in myself. I didn't follow the Giant Bomb stuff, but I've seen very mixed reviews. Some people really seem to be enjoying it. Others are much more critical. I know it got a C- from Game Informer, which surprised me. It got an 8 point something, I believe, from IGN. So, again, it's kind of mixed. The general consensus is it's not as powerful as the PC VR experiences, which, you would expect, but it's significantly better than the mobile experiences, which are better than you would think to begin with.
Though.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been watching it, and it's interesting that the reviews are all over the place. I mean, you expected that, it's not as good as the PC, nor should it be. You're not paying the premium you pay on the PC. But yeah, like people like Jim Sterling, who are just over the moon for it apparently, and he has a Vive, but he's really playing up PSVR. But it seems like kind of. I don't know. I'd be interested to see what the environments are that various people are actually testing this in, because I wonder if it's something along the same lines as like when the Wii first came out, and you realize that if the room was lit wrong, the controller had trouble tracking. Especially if there was a light source near where it was pointed. Just curious about that, because that obviously those lights on the headset are what are being used to. Geez, it's like World War III outside. What are being used to track the headsets? So, and it's just using a camera.
I think
that's interesting.
And again, we don't have units. It's just going by what we've seen from live streams and from reviews online. But I think for me, it is somewhat reconfirmed a lot of my concerns when we talked about this way back at E3, guys, where we saw, the not even talking about the hardware. But if we kind of just look at the games that we had at launch, outside of, which hasn't been, the embargoes aren't up for the reviews of Rez yet, but from most people that have been discussing it, from what they can discuss, like Rez is the game. Like Rez is the game that you're going to want to get PSVR for. And then there's a bunch of, smaller games and quote unquote VR experiences like the Batman stuff that we talked about, which, is for $20. You could play as Batman for a little bit, for like an hour or two. Maybe that's going to be something that you're going to want to do if you're a big super fan of of Batman. But if you kind of look across the board, a lot of these games are getting mediocre to okay reviews, which are like in the 5s to 7s for the most part. But there are still some reviews where the embargoes are not up until next week, and from just people talking on the internet and stuff. Again, it seems like the big game is going to be Rez, and that's still really exciting because Rez is still a super rad game. But
Right.
it all comes down to the second big thing, which it's not that either. Like, it's not like some people just didn't like the hardware. The hardware just didn't work for some people. Like, there were clear.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. The tracking isn't perfect, is what I'm reading. It's not that it doesn't work.
That's a gigantic problem.
I don't know.
Okay, if you're shaking like this, if you guys were shaking right now while I'm in a headset and I'm trying to focus on you, I will get sick very quickly.
That's what I'm saying. You're using some of that hyperbole there, I think, because it's not. That's not what I've been reading.
Well, have you been watching any of the videos where they've been showing again, like the big thing that I watched, and again I scrubbed through a bunch of it because it's like 6 hours long, but the Giant Bomb live stream where they showed it in multiple, like going from 3 feet away, from 7 feet away. They tried it with the lights on, the lights off, and there are clearly issues with the units that they had where the picture was jumping around, like the tracking was off because potentially the camera from the PlayStation 4, the original camera that came out, is not good enough to handle that stuff. I don't know that's necessarily the case, but there are also stories, and this is it's such a small set of people that have these units, but some people returned their unit, went back to the same setup from the same distance away, and it worked perfectly. So the potential for defective
units. Okay.
Yeah, that could be a really big problem if we just kind of look at it, because this thing, if people find it doesn't work really well at launch, if the games aren't really there, are people going to just wait until a big game comes out and then we'll all jump on it then? I think it needs some heat at the start. But again, I'm rambling, so I apologize to everyone audience and to the people that I'm talking to.
I want to move off this topic pretty quick because we spent a long time on this topic last week, but I want to get Dylan, give you a chance to chime in here. Have you been following PSVR at all? Are you interested in PSVR at all, or VR in general?
I've been following some of the reviews, and yeah, I mean, it just everything seems kind of mixed, and which doesn't really surprise me based on the PlayStation 4's capabilities. As for myself, I'm not really interested in VR at all. I'm sorry, Ethan. I know you're.
No, that's fine. So long as you're cool with the Vita, we're all right.
Oh yeah, the Vita's down. Yeah. Wow. But yeah, I don't know. It just seems like there's it kind of feels like we did this 20 years ago. I remember VR mall kiosks, and granted, I understand technology's 20 years better than it was then, but it just feels like the next gimmick to me. It feels like a niche market. I don't know. 3D TVs were huge 5 years ago, and now nobody cares. So
mine's still 3D.
So that's just kind of my opinion on it. But I'm sure one day I'll strap on a headset and be like, I was wrong. I'm willing to be that guy. So
well, I think and this, I apologize. This is the last thing I'll say because I apologize. I didn't get to listen to the last 2 weeks of shows, but for right now, like if we continue to get VR experiences, like little additions to games that are coming out anyways, and not exclusive titles that prove why you should own a PlayStation VR, I think that is going to be a real issue for selling units after the initial early adopters pick them up.
Oh yeah,
and I want this thing to succeed because I don't want to build a PC. I would love to be able to hook up this unit to my PlayStation 4. And to be honest, I think what might sell me on it is Resident Evil 7. I think if that game is really good and the VR experience is smooth, and we find out that maybe like some of the initial units were a little bit messed up, but they figure that out and the hardware's working perfectly, like I will totally be on board. I'm willing to pay the money, but I'm not going to do it for Final Fantasy 15 VR experience, for Batman VR experience. Like that's not worth owning that stuff for.
Well, and actually, I'd fall kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum in that I've been so happy with my Vive experience and playing now more Oculus at work and having had some hands-on with PSVR. I am fully anticipating that by the end of 2017 I'll be owning all three, and I'm also going to be putting time into Gear VR because there's a lot of interesting stuff on the development side going on there. I just think that there's a very good chance that I'll be spending more time playing VR games than I will traditional console games. I'll be playing both, but I just love sitting down and playing VR. I just can't get enough of it. And I'm beyond the novelty phase where I would have just kind of phased out and played it every other night. I'm playing it eagerly every night, and I'm having a blast.
Is there anything on PlayStation VR for you that you're looking forward to outside of Rez and Resident Evil 7?
Oh, sure. I definitely want
That's exclusive, I should say. Sorry.
Yeah. I want to play Batman. I know it's only an hour and a half long, but I'm actually very eager to play that. I really would like to play Battlezone. That's interesting to me. Thumper sounds really cool to me. So there's enough interesting experiences that are going to be exclusive to that platform. Until Dawn, I'm actually real curious about, especially since
that's the one that Jim Sterling's called out as his favorite, I think.
Yeah. So there's a lot. I'm just saying that Sony's going to have some exclusives. Oculus is going to have its exclusives, and just like having both an Xbox One and a PS4, if you want to play the best and it's the type of gaming experience you want, it's good to have more than one.
Does it?
I just hope. Sorry, go ahead, Greg.
Does it really matter? Like, I know we're talking about exclusives. Does it really matter right now if the stuff on the PlayStation, if there are a lot of exclusives? I mean, you definitely want to have some, and you want to have things that are branded. You'll want Sony branded things as well. But I mean, does it matter if something that's on PlayStation VR is also on Oculus or Vive? I mean,
no,
the price difference there is huge.
Well, here's a couple things. I mean, I don't know a ton about VR, but the stuff that I get from just the general discussion of it is that, a lot of Oculus stuff, the problem with Oculus is, aside from, the Palm or Lucky stuff, is
the lack of motion controllers.
Until now, that's coming, and the thing is exclusivity. So Oculus is going to have a bunch of exclusive games because they're paying for, whether it's partial or in full, for development of some games for the exclusivity. And I just hope that Sony does some of that as well, outside of Rez and outside of Resident Evil 7, to make sure that there's a continued stream of games and not just like, here's the launch, here's the VR, and guess what? PlayStation Vita Part 2.
And I gotta just say that as a Vive owner that's locked out of those Oculus exclusives, including stuff from Insomniac, while I would love to play those games, I don't think that it's a bad thing that Oculus has exclusives. I think that it's healthy for the ecosystem because they're funneling money directly at developers to make sure that VR as a medium gets better games. So, and again, that's one of the reasons why I'm more than happy to buying an Oculus.
I think it's locking out. Actually, forget about it. We should stop talking about this.
One last thing I want to say, though, is that, it makes sense when you're talking about Vive versus Oculus. They're on the same platform.
Yes.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
I mean, exclusives are still important, but I don't know if they're as important because right now on the console, the only VR experience you're going to get is PlayStation VR. So that's all I was saying. I want to move forward to what we've been playing. But first, I want to talk to our guest host here, Dylan. So yeah, like I said, we met when we both appeared on Retronauts at the Midwest Gaming Classic.
By the way, happy 10th anniversary to Retronauts. They turned 10. That's awesome.
That's great.
Sorry, that is great. Congratulations to them for that. But yeah, so Dylan is much like me. He was doing it long before I was. Is a cron gaming guy.
This is true.
And can you just describe, because the one you do now, which is SegaDoes.com, that was not your first cron gaming site, right?
Well, my first, I guess, gaming blog at all was Questicle.net, where I reviewed every North American Nintendo NES game, I should say, in alphabetical order. So,
oh my God, I've seen that. Oh, wow, this is weird.
Yeah, that blog was. I still love it today, but I definitely would have done some things differently. But I did complete 750 something reviews. So
that's fantastic. That's awesome, dude. That's so crazy.
Yeah, it was quite a it was quite a slog, to be honest, especially towards the end. And I'm just like, I'm never doing another video game related anything ever again. And then like maybe a month after I was done, I'm like, man, you know what consoles would be awesome to explore is Sega. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just start from Genesis and kind of move forward. And I'm like, no, I can't leave out Master System. And then it was like, well, maybe I should do the SG-1000. So Sega does is a chronological exploration of every game ever released on a Sega console. And I've been going. I started in 2014 and still going. And SG-1000 released in 1983. Finished that library. Master System, I'm about halfway through-ish. And just really diving deep into some early Genesis stuff still. Mid-1990.
Yeah,
I think.
you're catching Generation 16 rapidly.
Yeah, I know. Well, I don't do video, man. If I did video, I'd be way back still in the 80s.
So why did you even decide to do Questicle? Like what was the impetus for that?
Truthfully, it wasn't even so much I want to play games as much as it was a writing exercise and an excuse for me to get back into writing because I had been slacking off for about a year. My degree's in creative writing. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm striving to do, make my living at. So that was kind of the impetus behind that. And I actually started on oneup.com. It didn't even have its own.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I started on the OneUp blogs, and then when I realized that everything that I was posting there is property of OneUp, I'm like, maybe I should get my own web address. So I moved everything over, and that's how that started. Took about 3.5 years to review every Nintendo game.
It's actually not bad to review over 700 games. 3.5 years.
No, well, and you got to take into account half of those games are unbeatable. Barely playable. Just, I mean, there's everyone idolizes the NES today, but they just don't realize how much crap is on that system.
Well, and even some of the bigger titles like Battletoads is beautiful on the system, but again, that racing sequence is so hard that it seems like it's just not ready for being shipped.
And what's scary about that is that racing sequence is not nearly the hardest thing in that game.
Yeah,
and
right.
It shows up in like level 3.
Well, then there's another one later in the game.
Yeah.
So if you've passed one, you got to do it again.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm about, I guess. And of course, go ahead.
So and then you decided to do Sega, which that's an obvious choice afterward. But like I can't believe the whole going back to what have you. I don't even know what.
Greg's like, I'm not even that crazy to go to SG-1000.
What? I'm personally I was a Nintendo kid before I went full on Genesis, so I don't have I have no experience with the SG-1000, and I don't have a lot of experience with the Master System. So what have you learned? Because I assume you weren't a Sega kid at all.
I had a Genesis, but I had like Sonic 1 on it and then a couple other games, and that was about it because I was a Nintendo guy too. And once I got a Super Nintendo, the Genesis collected dust, unfortunately. So yeah, it was not good, but the SG-1000 was strange because though it released literally the same day as the Famicom in Japan, it had the power, I think, of an Intellivision. I think it's like, so a console released, in the like 1980, late 70s, like it definitely didn't feel like it could compete at all with the Famicom, which is why Sega released the Mark III like literally like 2 years later. Just didn't give that SG-1000 any time to breathe. The games are mostly awful. There's about maybe a dozen that are worth playing, but they're just weird little relics because most of them, some of them, I mean, Sega tried to adopt from their arcades. They tried to, put Congo Bongo on there.
Right.
And that game is just awful. I mean, Congo Bongo itself is questionable quality. But then when you just downgrade it, oh man, it was bad. But
A quick aside, though, I do remember loving that game at Showbiz Pizza so much that when one of our neighbors got the Atari 5200 and had Congo Bongo, I pretended to be their friend so that I could come over and play the game.
Nice.
You had awesome friends, Ethan. I did the same thing for Street Fighter 2.
I totally my Master System experience when I was a kid was me borrowing it from a friend. Same thing. He had like Rampage and Phantasy Star, and so I borrowed that for like a week. So what with the Master System, because I read your site, but I'm not up to date. I've just gotten into the point. I'm at the end of 1988, so you've just started covering Genesis games, but you're also getting into kind of the back half of the Master System library, which I find really interesting because there was some really cool stuff that came out, and especially there was a lot of stuff that didn't come out here.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into some of those. 89, I would argue, was the worst year for Master System games. Japan released, or the Sega of Japan released Bomber Raid, and that was their last game for the Master System. And then it was up to the US and Europe to pick up the slack. And there's just a lot of terrible games that year. But there's a lot of good stuff coming into the 90s, like a lot of the Disney titles I'm looking forward to. But I haven't delved deep into that. I've been kind of stuck in Genesis and particularly Phantasy Star 3, which just can't. Trying really hard to work my way through that, but it's been.
What
rough.
are you playing it on? Are you playing it on the original hardware? Are you doing like the Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection thing?
No, I'm playing it through other, I guess, more
legal ways of playing video games. That's how you're doing it. That's all I need.
Correct. Yes, exactly.
You clearly dumped the ROM from your card and put it on your computer, and then you're playing it through, officially licensed emulators that did not rip the actual chips from the hardware.
Dylan lives in the gray area
for 24 hours. Yeah. For 24 hours, and then I delete it, of course.
Yeah. My God, do you remember that from Nesticle? It would say like you could only play these games for like 24 hours, or what was that on the websites where you used to download the ROMs? I totally remember that. It said like it's illegal to do this if you delete it within 24 hours. You guys remember that?
Yep.
Vaguely.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, that's wow. That was
so
those memories deep down in there.
So give us Dylan, give us the URL for both these sites, because I've also been working my way through Questicle.
Okay, you can check out my NES reviews at questicle.net, and that's Quest ICLE.net. SegaDoes.com. That one's pretty easy to find. Yes. Yeah.
So when you're done, the 700 plus games on the Genesis / Mega Drive and all the Sega CD games and the 32X games, and you've done the 1,000 plus releases on the Saturn. I'm just trying to break your spirit here
as I curl into a ball. Yeah.
And of course and there's a lot of Japanese games you're gonna have to cover on that system. A
lot of dating sims.
Although something to throw out there, the people who did the translation patch for Police Nuts on the PlayStation released a Saturn patch this week, which
hell yeah,
because the Saturn version was the more complete version of that game. And you've done Dreamcast. What system do you tackle next?
I was actually thinking sometime soon, although who knows if this is going to work. I want to get into Sony. I really like, and especially, man, the retro. Yeah, and the used games market is just insane right now, and it's just getting worse. And I feel like if I start collecting for Sony now, maybe I'll have a sizable library, playing those games, having actual copies of the games and stuff. But I don't know. That's kind of a dream right now. And I'm just like, I try not to look at my own Sega game list, to be honest, because they're pretty intimidating.
Yeah, you should try moving through them at 5 games every 6 months. Cool. Well, let's jump into what you've been playing. And we're going to start with you, Dylan, since you're the guest and you're playing stuff that nobody else is playing right now.
Yeah, I'm always a few years behind all the time as far as games go. So Shovel Knight, I purchased 2 years ago when it came out or so. I think that's about right. And played it for about 15 minutes and then put it down. So now I'm going to actually finish it. and been enjoying it so far. It feels like what we all remember NES games felt like as kids, but is actually a lot easier and just so much better designed than an NES game. So yeah, I've been enjoying that. And I just started Silent Hill 3 last night because it's October and got to play a scary game.
Nice. Was that The Room?
That is the one with Heather.
Okay.
4 was The Room.
4 was The Room.
Yeah.
3 is the one that starts in like a mall or something, isn't it?
Right. Yep.
Can't believe I remember. I knew it was something like that. Those games were amazing though. The PlayStation that was on PlayStation 2.
Correct. Uh-huh.
I just remember those games looking incredible for PlayStation 2 games.
They still look good. Yeah. They still look good. The models are just really well designed. I was like kind of marveling at Heather's hair last night actually. Watching the cutscenes. I'm like, wow, that is just unbelievable. And I'm sorry the HD collection kind of sucks still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
Otherwise,
Konami not supporting and fixing that game.
yeah, it's very shocking. But that's pretty much it on my end, other than just mountains of Sega games.
Nothing wrong with that. So do you play? Are you going to play scary games all month in October? Or are you just going to play through Silent Hill 3 and then go back to like Golden Axe?
I'd be surprised if I got through Silent Hill 3, honestly. I don't have much time through the week to play, so it's kind of a weekend affair. And it's not a very long game, but it's weird when you invest an hour in a Silent Hill game and you're like, gosh, that was like 5 hours. And then you look at the time and you're like, oh, my play time is only 54 minutes. But yeah, I can't do those games for very long. Tank controls.
Oh yeah, right.
Kind of brutal. If you're going to play a game for Halloween, can I recommend the Ethan Einhorn special Condemned Criminal Origins, exclusive to Xbox 360?
Yep, Bum Puncher, the game.
Is it backwards compatible?
It is backwards. And you remember those guys that would attack you in the game? Like they would hide behind like the corner and grab like a pipe off the wall and go like, "You mother!" Like just the voice acting from the crazy people in that game make it worth playing.
That was just Ethan every day at work.
Yeah, I bet.
Well, first of all, the hero is named Ethan in the game.
That's true.
Yeah.
Greg Grunberg.
Yep.
Heroes.
And right. And the fun thing about that one also is it was from Monolith. And back when it was coming out on the marketing side, the head of marketing really wanted more of kind of a realistic Silence of the Lambs type feel. There was some supernatural stuff that they couldn't get into that game and put into Condemned 2 instead.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of kind of creative differences. I'm curious, Kevin, do you think it works better with or without the supernatural stuff?
I think like the end of 1, it kind of falls apart. Like it's still okay, but like 2, when you get all these superpowers and you're like screaming with your voice,
right?
But you get chased by a bear in a cabin in the woods, so it kind of balances it out. I still really like 2.
Yeah, it's an interesting series.
So, what else have you been playing, Kevin?
I've been playing. The great thing about not owning a PlayStation 4 for a little bit is I get to go back and play some of the games that are just incredible that I've missed out on. And that's primarily, I picked up a PlayStation 4 Slim, which came with Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, I believe. And holy smoke, did you guys play this? Like,
oh yeah, I finished it.
That game is incredible. That game is so good. And
wait till you get to the end. It's a great game all around.
More importantly, wait till you play Tomb Raider.
No, that's that thing. I actually picked up Tomb Raider this week on Xbox One because it was on sale for $20 at Target. So I actually picked that up to kind of go on after this. But let me just say that I don't think there is a game in the original Uncharted, the previous 3 Uncharted games, they progressed for each version, but 2 and 3 especially, they had really good adventure stuff in there. But the gunfights and even like the melee stuff was clearly better in 3, and it was like like oddly a lot deeper in 3, almost maybe too much. But in Uncharted 4, it is the perfect kind of like ballet of action when you're playing that game, because now you have access to the grappling hook thing as well, or kind of like the ability to latch on to things that are above you and then just jump off a ledge and swing and then let go and then jump through in the air and just like smash a dude in the face. And like right after you do that, you can start shooting a couple guys, and then you like jump back on to that thing that you're hooked onto, swing back around and like take out another couple dudes. Like the momentum in that game for the combat is it's almost like it's like Batman with guns to a certain extent, although Batman's very much more constricted. Like you're staying in kind of a circle of enemies that circle around you, where in Uncharted there's guys coming from all over the place. But I really enjoyed the combat, and when especially in 3, like there was like the shipyard scene in 3 where you're in like this harbor with a bunch of boats, and it was super frustrating. Like it was very difficult getting through that section. But even when I hit some roadblocks in Uncharted 4, the combat was so fun that I didn't mind dying and like thinking, all right, well, maybe I should just go like a different route and how I attack these guys, or maybe I should take out these guys over here first before I actually try to progress to another area of cover. And I mean, that's just the combat, which is the best in the series. Wow, did they do an incredible job with the visuals, the story. When we're talking about this incredible developer and their ability to just nail it with the actors. Ever since the original Uncharted was somewhat a huge leap forward, and Uncharted 2 and 3 very much more so. But what they were able to do at Naughty Dog is it is just a new standard for video games, and it's something that I don't know if it will even be touched for a while, because the way that they finished that game, and I won't talk about specifics of the ending, it's the perfect ending for that series. It's the perfect ending to close the book, put it on the shelf. Maybe there are some ways that they could have a sequel or a new series from that ending, but the satisfaction from finishing up that story and the love that I've had for those characters over the years, it was just the perfect way to end it. I just don't even know. Like, I'm not a creative person like the people that are writing that story, but I could not even think of a better way to end it. So I think it's almost worth just having a PlayStation 4 to play that game. It's really, really just an unbelievable package for a packet, or even for now it's like $30 on Amazon. But
what the heck was that? I will say that I wish I had played Uncharted 4 before I played Tomb Raider, only because of the combat. I actually found the combat kind of clunky in Uncharted 4, but like I said,
it's better in Tomb Raider.
I feel it's much better in Tomb Raider personally.
Yeah, I was gonna second that. I loved Uncharted 4. I think it's a terrific game, and I think it is definitely a system seller and a must-have.
I have it right here.
But I actually do like Rise of the Tomb Raider. Yeah, I like that game even more than Uncharted 4. I think Rise of the Tomb Raider is a masterpiece.
That being said, Naughty Dog have become the masters of character development. Through the whole story, and not to give away the story, because I know that there are still a lot of people probably who haven't played that, but I found myself almost yelling at the screen at Drake for sort of. I understood his reasoning for a lot of the things he was doing, but I'm like, you're so stupid. Like, what are you doing? Like, go back home to your wife.
Yeah, exactly. No,
I love that character as well. I love both those characters, right? And I'm like, what do you? I felt terrible during the games. I'm like, you're making one bad decision after another, and I understand them and they make sense in a way. But yeah, it's just like, oh man, just go back to Helena. Like,
I couldn't believe when you get to that final section, like that final boss fight with Lan Di, like that was something that I just did not see coming.
Yeah.
They must have signed some kind of deal with Sega and Yu Suzuki to get Lan Di in that game, which was really nuts. But Real quick, outside of Uncharted 4, that's great to hear about Tomb Raider because I've got like halfway through the first Tomb Raider reboot, but I did not get all the way to the end of it, so I'm excited to play this. But the other thing that I've been playing, like a couple of you guys, is Forza Horizon 3, which
game of 2016.
No, it's not. I think for me, it's. I think for me right now, it's still Uncharted 4. I think
what?
Maybe it's just because I'm still coming off of that high, and I'm just so happy about that ending. But yeah, Forza Horizon 3 is everything that you could possibly want from that game. It's not necessarily like growing in leaps and bounds, but it is. It's pure joy. It's a game that has the music that I love to hear on almost every station. Like the person that picks out the music for that series, or the people that do it, should get some kind of a raise or get some kind of a bonus because they put together an incredible lineup of tracks for this game that just make you constantly feel like, yeah, I just almost want to hang out and listen to music, but of course I'm going to go do another race. It looks great, it runs great, and I just don't know what else to say about it. It's a game I'm going to be playing for the next couple months, just a couple races at a time.
Yeah, and I don't want to get too deep into it either because we've talked about it a lot on this show, and I could talk about it a lot more. But I will say that I was doing a bucket list challenge the other day, which was fantastic because it started.
Oh, those are so good.
Yeah, but this was a hard one, and it started in a gorge somewhere, and you had to get to Surfers Paradise, and you had like 2 minutes and 40 seconds to get there, which means you couldn't take the roads. And it was in like an old, I think it was like a Group B rally car. And it was just like, basically you point the nose, you can see the buildings in Surfers Paradise in the distance, and you just pointed the nose of the car at it and you hit the accelerator and just went for it. And I still didn't make it. I came close. I think I was like 5 seconds away. But like you just spent the whole time bouncing over hills and going through forests, and it was just intense. It was amazing. And like if you play in cockpit view and you're doing these jumps, you can't see what's happening. You're just looking at the sky half the time.
What camera do you use for it?
I normally play in cockpit view in that game.
Okay, I use the camera that's like right on the hood, so you can kind of see the front of your hood.
Okay,
and it's a real achievement for what they were able to do at 30 frames per second. The sense of speed that you feel when you are racing through the city, like ripping up the forest. Just going on the beach and just seeing like the water fly up in the air and the weather effects. I mean, I haven't played a lot of Drive Club. I know Drive Club is still like sets the standard for weather effects in driving games, but the weather effects in Forza Horizon 3 are very impressive. And it is something that, again, it's just like, there's still a lot of life left in these boxes. Like I understand like PS4 Pro is going to be good, but they're still squeezing a lot out of these consoles. Like who knows what Naughty Dog's going to do with their next game, or even the Halo folks, the guys at 343, they squeeze a hell of a lot of juice out of those boxes. Those first-party developers are going to continue to just blow us away on these $300 boxes.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to talk about that you've been playing? Or
I've been playing Mega Man X. It's pretty good. I'm doing it for an episode of Back in My Play that will be coming up, but I've been quite busy, so that will be happening at some point. But Gears of War is next week, and that will be my game.
Yeah, Mega Man X is my favorite Mega Man game on the Super Nintendo.
Oh, we'll talk about it, Greg.
Definitely. Cool. Ethan, what you got? What you got for us?
So I've been breaking my new Vita in by taking advantage of the sale that they had last week on all things Resident Evil, and
Did you get a 2000?
I did, yes.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah, really happy with the LCD screen actually, and it's nice and light. Fits even better in my pocket. I'm a big fan.
Battery life.
Yeah. Really, really am happy with it. And so I decided to pick up Resident Evil Revelations 2. And that's one I actually had already had on the PlayStation 4, but Resident Evil Revelations 1 I played through on 3DS, and that was a really nice game to have on the go. And even though it does take a graphical hit on the Vita, still it's a really nice game to have on the go, and it's the whole thing. So I feel really happy that I was able to pick it up for like $17.
Did you import it?
No. I wish that I got the physical version. I was on sale digitally, so it never got released physically in the West. So you'd have to have gotten it, as an import. But I'm excited to be playing that. And again, it's just it is, I think, important to look at the fact that while we have a lot of great Japanese titles on the Vita, that are just very kind of quirky RPGs. This machine is very good at doing AAA console style experiences, and while this isn't on par with something like Killzone Mercenary or Uncharted, it's in that same ballpark, and so it's definitely something to try if you are a fan of Resident Evil. It's actually claustrophobic and scary too. Yeah, it runs much better than I expected it to. The hit that they take is not in frame rate, but it's in textures, so things look a little bit muddier, but I can live with that. So, then the other games I've been playing have been Vive games, and I'll keep that brief because I know a very small number of our listeners have that. But I've been playing Elite Dangerous because a lot of people who have the Vive swear by it, and I wanted a second really good seated experience for the device. And it's really fun to play something like that and be in a cockpit of a spaceship and do loop-de-loops. The game is quite detailed and very difficult, especially at the start. But I enjoy something that is robust, that will be playable for a long time, as opposed to something that is an hour-long experience. So like the hour-long experiences, but really enjoy having that balance with some long titles too.
And hey, you know someone who worked on it, so
I do.
Yeah, Ethan, do you mind me asking? I apologize, I didn't watch the last 2 weeks, but did you play Dragon Quest Builders on the Vita?
I have now this week, played the demo of it, and I think it's really cute. I like that. Oh my god,
I love it.
Yeah. I like how it does not stray very far at all from Minecraft, but I like the aesthetic better. I like it in third person better, and frankly, I like having objectives.
Exactly. That's what I need.
Yeah. So
I have no imagination anymore. I'm 30. I need objectives.
Yeah, I mean, all due respect to the guys at Mojang, I do prefer the experience in the Dragon Quest game. So next week's going to be.
If they could put some sort of story or game building, like objective building thing inside of Minecraft for people to make their own, like, you know what I mean? Like, you could put together some sort of like systems in place so people could put together their own like adventures in Minecraft that people could like subscribe to. That would be rad.
Yeah, though I gotta say, I really do prefer the third-person perspective, which is not a Minecraft thing, So
it's fun.
I am happy with it. That also is a great portable game. I'm fully planning on picking that up next week when it comes out. So between that and Gears of War 4, I'm going to be spending quite a bit. But the last game I wanted to mention was a game that I had brought up before on the show, which is called Raw Data. And if you have a friend who has a Vive and you haven't tried VR yet, make sure you ask them to let you play this. They almost certainly will own it, because about 20% of all people who have the Vive have purchased it. It's an insanely high attach rate for a single game. But you feel like you're in a Robert Rodriguez movie. And it's this whole thing where you're bouncing around, getting headshots, ducking behind cover. And it's so visceral and so exciting, especially when you're doing the dual wielding, which doesn't unlock until you're a bit later into the game. But you just feel like a badass. And in terms of just excitement and fun, that's the best gaming experience minute for minute that I've had this year on any platform. I still think that Fire Emblem is going to be my game of the year. I have a hard time imagining anything knocking that from its perch. But in terms of just sheer excitement, you'll be whooping out loud when you're playing that game. You are in a Robert Rodriguez movie, and I'm so happy to be experiencing that.
Feels like that means you're going to die, though. Bloody, horrible death. Cool. Can't wait to start playing VR stuff soon. I've been playing mostly Forza Horizon 3 and Formula 1 2016, which I'm not going to get into here, but I have also been playing some Nintendo games because my new Retro AVS showed up.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Yeah. So this is a cool little system by I don't think the company's called Retro USB. It's just, or maybe they are. That's the URL, but I don't know if that's what they're called. But anyway, it's another NES/Famicom system. But this one I feel is much better quality than the Retron 5, which I'm pretty sure Kevin will agree with me.
Shock.
Exactly. So it's not dumping ROMs; it's actually playing games directly off the cartridges. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see that if you flip open the cover here, the NES port is in the back, and then up front here is actually a Famicom Famicom cartridge pin set. So it plays both. It'll also use EverDrive. Not that we would ever use those filthy illegal things. Totally ordered an EverDrive. And it's HDMI, which is fantastic. So you can just hook it directly to TV. You can see at the back here the ports. There's an HDMI port along with the USB port and the expansion port for the Famicom. So I believe you can actually use a disk system on this thing.
Huh.
So anyway, really happy with it so far. It's got
How much was it?
It's like, I don't remember.
$200.
200. It's got 4 controller ports in the front, so it will work with games that required, I forget what it's called, the 4-play or something like that. I doubt it was called that. If it was
The
a
4-score, I believe.
I'd call it the 4-play. Nintendo 4-play. That's like the worst date ever. Actually, if it works, it's the best date ever. But it also is set up so that you can use Game Genie codes on the games, and it's got some kind of thing where it'll convert. How does it work? It'll convert input so that it actually matches with Famicom input. So if you want to play like 4-score games or 4-player games that are Famicom games, it will actually work with this thing, which apparently was not a thing before, or it's complicated. I don't know. And you can play with your controller settings, and you can, put scan lines on, and they just actually added palette swapping in here now, or whatever you want to call that, where you can use different color palettes in the latest firmware update. So anyway, I'm really happy with it so far. I've been using it for the past week. Runs smooth like butter. Everything works in it. It's what I'm going to be using for my Extra Life stream this November 19th, which, by the way, if you go over to my page right now, extra-life.org/participant/Seward, for $30, you can actually pick any NES/Famicom/FDS game that you want me to play for an hour that day. Choose the hour, choose the game. Please go over and do that. We still have to raise about $4,000 this year. So,
can I pre-purchase the whole day?
No. Maybe. We'll talk. You can't now because some people have already purchased some hours.
How much is $20? $20 for 30 minutes?
$30 for an hour.
$30 for an hour. That's zero. That's like $0, guys. You could make Greg play some of the worst games in the NES.
Do that.
I mean, I'm booking Total Recall. Total Recall for $30.
What? I have an idea. Head over to questicle.net. Did I get that right?
Yes. .net.
Questicle.net, and sift through the game library there and pick a game, and then $30 at my Extra Life page, and I'll play that for an hour.
I forgot about Total Recall. Yeah, that's worse than Deadly Towers.
Let's just make it. Let's make it an LJN Extra Life stream. Let's just exclusively LJN titles, like starting with X-Men. We'll get Back to the Future. So that this way, like, you're going to get a day full of licensed properties, and think about the viewers that you will have by having such titles like the Marvel X-Men.
Oh yeah,
Killing me.
The Karate Kid.
Oh yeah, the Fantastic Karate Kid. Like, trying to catch those flies, that mini game is great. Trying to kick that thing that's swinging at you, that mini game, some of the best ever in video games, potentially.
Well, I believe Miyamoto's mentor made that game.
Right, yeah, no, totally. I think he oversaw most of the LJN titles, and if you ever saw like the What I Asked stuff with him in it, he always brings up the LJN lineup of games on the Nintendo. He's so disappointed that more did not make it to Japan.
Fun fact about the X-Men there, Greg. It's, I believe, the only NES game I found to not have a developer credit. Nobody knows who developed it. It is so bad. So it's kind of like a film when they put Alan Smithy as the director.
Nice.
They don't want to be associated with it. Yeah.
TNC Surf Design, guys. Come on.
Well, remember, some of those were actually done by Rare, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Nightmare on Elm Street are rare games.
Yep.
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 Your rare
Their
turned out a
secret
lot
shame.
of crap on that console. Okay, let's do a few tweets real quick before we wrap this up because the debate has already started, and I know Kevin is dying to go and watch it. So am I,
And
Should we
actually.
do that top one?
They did not shake hands. I'm just saying that.
Yes,
popped
they
up.
did not shake hands, which I'd be interested to know when the last time that happened in a presidential debate. Okay, you want me to do this top one here? Hacker alias Seth Chenard asks, how long until a serial killer VR experience?
What? That's not the one I highlighted.
You didn't. I don't know what you highlighted. I'm looking at the actual Twitter thing. You what? That's old, man. We talked about that last week. That has not been updated on the outline. Sorry, man. It was about okay. Kevin wants a chance to do a Larrabee lock, so we're gonna do this. This was an old tweet, but I'm gonna bring it up here. Hacker alias Marvin Bruck. Any of you guys think the NX will be delayed?
Nope.
I really appreciate you guys allowing me to include my 2 cents on this because I remember, again, going back to the E3 show that we did, we discussed this briefly. And from multiple pieces of information that I have received, plus observations that I've made over the last, what has it been, like 5 months, 4 months or so, I believe that we should plan on seeing the NX around September or October of 2017. There is some chatter around why this could potentially be happening. Part of it, I believe, is that they just don't have it ready. And we must keep in mind that this, in many senses, must be a home run for Nintendo. I think the Wii U was a somewhat of a flop. I think we can agree, and they are more or less putting all their eggs in one basket in terms of their franchises. They're still supporting, and that's kind of another thing that goes along with this. They're still quite heavily supporting, although with the B Team type stuff, the Nintendo 3DS into 2017. So they're trying to make sure that that console is supported. There's still some money coming in from it. Plus, they have a Mario game coming out this fall on the iPhone. Or I guess it would be technically this winter, depending if you want to look at financial quarters or actual quarters. So this is, I think, I don't know if I'm confident enough to call it a Larrabee lock, but this is not just me making educated guesses. This is from whispers and pieces of news that have come together, things that have confirmed what I actually discussed at E3, that episode. Some things are actually confirming what I was hearing back then. So just don't be surprised if we're going to be waiting until 2017, the fall-ish for that console. And no problem. I'm willing to wait. Take a rate.
All right. I'm going to do one more tweet here real quick because we want to get this done, and this is something that we're asking Dylan particularly, but I know that Kevin, you follow this stuff as well. Hacker alias, let me find his actual name here. Z Miller 1902 asks, "Are there going to be more Sega 3D classics, and what games would you like to see remastered?" We know there are going to be more Sega 3D classics already.
Did you guys talk about the third release that's coming out in Japan? They've actually already announced the third 3D, the Fukuoka collection coming out in Japan for the Nintendo 3DS. It's still quite a shame that we do not have those games coming out here physically outside of the middle package. We still didn't get the first one, but I believe we'll be getting quite a few more of those. Actually, no, I take that back. It's actually titled, I want to make sure I have the title right because this is what I thought. It's actually the Sega 3D Classics, like the Fukuoka Collection Archives final stage. So it is the last of the games that were not released physically in Japan that are available on the eShop, which also includes Turbo Outrun, which is pretty cool.
So my big hope is that we end up seeing Sonic 3 and Sonic & Knuckles. That would be great, especially if Sonic & Knuckles, if you purchased Sonic 1 and Sonic 2, would actually do the unlock stuff. and let you play as Knuckles in the other games.
That'd be pretty cool.
I bet they would do that if you bought them or not, because since they were split across physical releases in Japan, they wouldn't be able to do that.
So, okay, let's because I want to wrap this up pretty soon. So, Kevin, what games are in that collection?
Specifically, what is mentioned here on the page on Amazon is we have Turbo Outrun, we have Sonic the Hedgehog 2, we also have 4 more titles that were previously not okay. Here's the complete list. Sorry, Super Hang On, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Afterburner 2, Streets of Rage or Bare Knuckle 2, Gunstar Heroes, Turbo Outrun, and it looks like that is all for the list on here. But it's all the previous games that were not released on the other physical iterations of the collections in Japan.
Okay, so Kevin, what game that hasn't been done yet would you like to see done in the 3D Classics
It would
style?
be great to get the original Shinobi, or Super Shinobi, Revenge of Shinobi.
Oh, that okay.
Revenge of Shinobi is what I forget, because in Japan it was like what Shinobi,
The Super Shinobi.
Super Shinobi. So
Yep.
that would be great to get on there. Also, I think it would be really cool. I don't know if it would necessarily make sense, but it would be great to get like the Phantasy Star games on there, because I don't.
Oh yeah,
I haven't played those a bunch, but I think they might be able to do some pretty cool like 3D like effects on those games with how like the players are lined up and how the enemies are set up. Maybe it would be worth doing, but it would just be really. As many times they could re-release those games, that would be rad. And what's the other RPG series on the Sega platform? Not Phantasy Star, but
Shining games.
Shining Force. Yeah,
Shining Force.
That would be really cool.
That would be fantastic. What about you, Ethan?
Yeah, I mean, I think Shining Force 1 and 2 would definitely be my first big S on that. But again, beyond that, I'd like to see Sonic 3 and 4, as I mentioned, and I'm just trying to think what else, because they, I love the fact that they have Gunstar Heroes already. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd love to see if they did some third-party games. I'd love, for instance, to see Batman out there, or Rocket Knight Adventures, or Turtles, or Contra, or Castlevania. I mean, working with some of the other partners to bring those titles over would be fantastic.
Fair enough. What about you, Dylan?
I personally would love to see, and again, this I don't know that this is going to happen, but the Toe Jam and Earl games would be nice. I heard that Thunder Force 3 is coming soon, which
I thought I read that as well.
I just reviewed that, and oh man, that's going to be amazing. So I'm looking forward to that.
So good.
Yeah, Thunder Force has become my new favorite series.
1990 was an amazing year for shooters on the Genesis.
Wait for Lightning Force.
Well, let me add just a couple others. It would be fantastic if they did a round of Disney titles like Castle of Illusion, World of Illusion, Aladdin. Quackshot.
You dream, you beautiful boy, dream.
I'm actually pining for Boogerman, so we'll see.
Wow,
dude, let's just get a Technosoft collection. Come on, I would totally
Sega could do that now.
Right.
Exactly.
So you never know. I would say I'm going to throw one out there that you guys didn't mention, which I'm just dying to see because I don't think nearly enough people played it, and that was Alicia Dragoon.
Yeah, totally.
As a
that would look awesome in 3D.
Game. Yeah, it would. Yeah.
Fucking ripping soundtrack. Sorry, we're gonna swear. My fault. You can bleep that.
The soundtrack's great too. So we're gonna end that here. Anything else anyone wants to bring up before we start the outro?
Play more Vita.
Oh God. And that's our show for this week. Thanks for listening. If you want to check us out, you can do so. Head over to playeronepodcast.com. There you can find our blog where you'll see updates that generally consist of show notes, Sega CD entries, and, of course, Generation 16 when there are new episodes. You should go check out episode 18 as soon as you can. Was it 18? I think it was episode 18. I don't even remember anymore. You can also find our message board there where you can hang out. You can talk to us and our other listeners about the show and honestly about anything to do with video games, life, or, well, mostly video games. PlayStation VR. There you go. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, and you can also buy the Player One Podcast iPhone app for the cheap, low price of $1.99. I'm not even giving anyone a chance to do the cheap thing. Sorry. With which you can stream all of our episodes and contact us, check out the blog posts, etc. You can also find that on the Google Play, Amazon App Store. I don't remember which one it is. Something to do with the Android Amazon App Store. There you go. Find that there for your Android listening device as well for $1.99. You can check us out on YouTube every week. If you're watching us, you can watch us live at 8 p.m. Eastern every Sunday night when we record on youtube.com/generation16. You can check us out on Twitter at P1 Podcast. Check us out on Facebook. Just look up Player One Podcast. And most importantly, if you like what you heard and you want to help us keep the lights on, like those lights right back there, you can support the show if you would so like to do at patreon.com/P1 Podcast. But more importantly, you can also support some of our guest hosts on patreon.com. Kevin, where can people go to support you?
Well, actually, don't even worry about my Patreon stuff. I would like you guys, because you guys are fans of the Player One Podcast, I would make sure, hopefully you guys really appreciate the bazillion episodes the P1 Podcast has put together. And, if you're in the position to do so, help them out, because it allows them to buy a couple games for the hosts, and that way they can talk about the latest releases on the show. Also, Generation 16 is important to support because it's a fantastic documentary series, and it is preserving the history of those fantastic games on that incredible console. But if I could ask you guys to do two things this week, it would be to one, go to, I'm actually putting together some videos that I'm particularly proud of at youtube.com/Fitcast Network. There's a great short film / documentary that I did with Sid Bolton at his personal computer and video game museum up in Brantford, Ontario, Canada. I think you guys would really love that video. It's been getting just incredible reaction from people that have gone and checked it out. Some fantastic stories. She has complete inbox of a bunch of different consoles, and some of those stories are told in that video. There's a bunch more footage from that I'll eventually put out, just him talking about all the incredible games that he has and the stories behind them. But along with that, I also filmed a bunch on the independent developers in Toronto. I'm working hard on that video right now. It's a huge video with a bunch of different developers on there. And the other thing, if after you go watch those, I think this would be a really good, it's starting to get cold out and people can somewhat get down at this time of the year. So I think we could all do an incredible thing by going up to someone that we know tomorrow and make sure that you say good morning, smile, and ask them how they were doing, and see if you can brighten their day a little bit. I think we could all help elevate the mood across the world a little bit if we did that. So please, think about that if you can, and trust me, I guarantee if you do that, then you get a smile back. You're going to feel better yourself. So give that a shot this week and try to continue it going forward.
Very good advice.
You
Dylan,
weren't expecting that, were you, Greg?
I wasn't at all, but my heart is warm. Dylan, do you have a Patreon for Sega Does?
I do. Yeah, I do. It's not really much of anything at the moment. I haven't updated it in a while, but basically, patreon.com/Dylan Cornelius uses the funds to help pay people. I'm actually have had a few guest reviews. In addition, Mr. Seward, you reviewed the Sega Mega Modem for Sega Does. And
how did you review that?
With lots of words.
Did you sign up for some dial-up service or something?
Sure.
He traveled back to the past, man. He can do that. Okay. So I've been mostly paying people. That's kind of what I've been doing the last few months, just paying people to fill in the void of articles, because I have not had as much time as I used to have to do them. So that's my Patreon at the moment.
And that is, of course, for SegaDoes.com. For
Correct.
anybody who doesn't know anything yet, Ethan can't hear anything. So now we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to say thank you to Ethan. I don't know if he's going to respond, but thank you, Ethan, for showing up this week and hanging out with us. Thank you, Kevin, again for coming on and being a guest host. Always
I
great
love you
to be on.
guys. You guys are the best. You guys love video games, and we got to make sure that we continue to stay positive yet critical of this fantastic medium that we all love.
Amen to that, brother. And big thank you to Dillis. Jesus.
Dillis filler.
Dylon Cornelius.
Yes, thank you guys for having me.
Really appreciate you coming on, man.
Back in my plate, Uncle.
And jeez, there it is. And we will talk with y'all again next week.
Oh, that's fun.